Hey, good morning, Black Oak clients. Ryan Ledden here, president of Black Oak Asset Management. This, again, is our weekly edition of Breakfast with Black Oak. We like to do a little video session here with all clients that work with us at Black Oak. Again, there's several of us here, and you may work with different advisors, but we want to welcome everyone, especially who is newer clients or people who have been clients that are just now tuning in to this. So we want to welcome everyone. Again, it's lots of different information that I like to relay to clients that's not typed up in an email that sometimes just gets deleted really quick. And maybe even this gets deleted as well. But hopefully not. I try to keep this as short and sweet as I can so it doesn't take up too much of your busy Friday morning, because this will hit your inbox about 7 o'clock or so on a Friday morning. So again, hope everyone's had a great week. You see the subject heading above, Braves do it again, 6-time NL East champions. It's pretty darn impressive. And I know Brian Snicker, who is the manager of the Braves. I know him really well. I know their family really well. I coached his son at Brookwood, so we're good friends with the Snicker family. And Troy, who's the son of Brian, he's the hitting coach for the Houston Astros in the big league. So a lot of big league blood running through that family. So we want to congratulate that family as well. Awesome family. So couldn't be happier for all of them in that family. And again, go Braves. Been here my whole life. So even back in the day when the Braves were wearing the baby blues when they were in last place, I used to watch them every single night. And my daughter loves watching the Braves just about every single night with me. My son will sometimes watch, but Lindy sits there and watches it with me every single night. So that part's kind of reliving my childhood. Now it's with my daughter. So pretty cool stuff. Creating memories there, and they're a fun team to watch. So now it's on to hopefully getting home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and then it's a new season once the playoffs hit. So a lot of pressure on those guys, but hopefully they'll continue to do it. So what else? Also, I got my Midway Wolverines. I usually wear my college shirt on Friday, but I thought I'd represent my son's team. So they play this Saturday too. So big football game for us this weekend. So good luck to them as well. But mailbag. So we get a lot of questions from my podcast. Again, Perfect Game Retirement. If you've never listened to Perfect Game Retirement, it's a podcast I do twice a month. And I'm actually recording 2 new episodes right after I recorded this, hence why I had the microphone and earbuds in, getting ready for that in a few minutes. But I get mailbag questions, and I can't answer them all. So I thought I got a few sent to me, so I have them here. And I thought I'd just cover a few questions. Now, some of these are going to be, there's a few questions on the podcast that I will not repeat on here. But I thought some of this would just kind of pertain to you, and it may strike a chord with you. Maybe not an exact scenario that you're going through, but it may be like, oh, okay, it's something similar, or so maybe you can relate to it. So I thought I'd just do something a little different here. So I'm going to read the question and then respond to 2 or 3 of these, depending on how long-winded I am for each of them. But so this is from a gentleman named Chris. Says, I owe $21,000 on my truck. That's my only debt. I just hit 59 and a half, so I can take my money out of my 401k now without a penalty. Should I make a withdrawal to pay off the truck and be debt free? Most of you know, obviously, we're Dave Ramsey advisors, so I'm all about getting rid of debt. But taking it out of a retirement account, I'm not a huge fan of for several reasons. But when it comes to retirement accounts, trying not to take out big chunks of money while you're about to be retired. And it doesn't say specifically, Chris, if you're retired, but if you are taking out big chunks that aren't accounted for, that can put a lot of stress on your assets. Now, I don't know how much assets you do have, Chris. That wasn't specified in the question. So there's some gray area of it depends. But I'm not a big fan of taking it out of retirement accounts, especially pre-tax, because you're going to have to pay tax, federal and state. Again, he's 59 and a half, so he does not have to pay a 10% penalty. But $21,000, I would just try to pay that off out of cash flow as quickly as possible. If it was a huge credit card debt, okay, now we got a discussion to have, because that's compounding interest on a credit card, where there's a car payment. It's simple interest. So there is a math component to that. Obviously, with the truck payment, we're going to pay that off eventually. So I would just try to do it out of cash flow, Chris, and pay that off. I'd stay away from retirement account type stuff. So if you can, avoid that at all costs. So going back to the big purchase stuff. So when we do retirement plans for people, we want to know, hey, we want to take a big trip, every other year or every third year or something, but let's build that into your plan. And then maybe slowly take that money out a little bit at a time instead of taking one big chunk. Because what if you take that one big chunk out when the market's down? So it puts even more stress on it. So some things to think about as you go through that process of going through and looking at big purchases, whether it's paying off debt or just big purchases in general, car, trip, you name it. Okay, so Grace wrote in and said, I like to start putting money into a college fund for my grandkids, which is awesome. Should I set up a 529 for them or just invest in my own and give the money when they go to school? A lot of different scenarios there. I mean, I like 529 plans, and then I don't like 529 plans. 529 plans, obviously, you need to use it for school. Now, there is a loophole now with 529 plans. You can use up to $10,000 for private school tuition before college. Before, that was not the case, but now it is. So up to $10,000 for tuition. 529 obviously are mostly for college and graduate school. So they grow tax deferred and they come out tax free as long as you use it for a qualified education expense. So if you feel like, and you said grandkids with the S on the end, plural. So if you want to do a 529 plan and you have multiple grandkids, I'm okay with that, because if one kid doesn't use it, then you can change the name on that 529 to another grandchild. So there is some wiggle room there. If you only have one grandkid, I'd say stay away from it. Maybe save in your own brokerage account. There's also called a UTMA, UTMA, Uniform Transfer to Minors Act, that is in for the benefit of the kid or grandkid. Now, when they are 21 years old, that account is theirs when they reach age of majority. So, there's some stipulations there. So I think it's a great idea, especially if you have multiple grandkids, and especially if some of them are really good in school and you think, hey, that's probably the path that they're going to go down, especially as expensive as colleges are. I'm sure that money will be put to use somewhere. So not a bad idea there, Grace, again, since you have multiple grandkids. All right, let's do one more. Let's see. Okay, Jack says, my pension does not provide an inflation raise each year, which most don't. Government pensions sometimes do. All my teacher people out there, educators, yes, you get a 3% raise in the state of Georgia. So I'll still be getting the same amount at age 85 that I have at 65. So it's fixed pension payment. So it's going to lose purchasing power over time. Should I even bother taking a spousal continuation option for my wife to keep getting the monthly payment if she outlives me? So the inflation raise and the spousal continuation don't necessarily have to do with one another. I get what you're saying. You get a higher pension payout if you don't do a spousal continuation. So, Jack, that's going to depend on your assets and what other income you have coming in. Most of the time, and this is not advice for everybody, but most of the time, pensions, we say do the spousal continuation. Take a little bit of an actuarial hit on a monthly basis, and it continues on with your spouse. Now, is there a big age discrepancy? Is there good Social Security benefits there? Is there a large number of assets there? Health, so many things that go into play on a decision like that, and a very big decision, because a lot of times once you choose a pension option, that's it, you're stuck. So Jack, that's for another conversation for another day. So I'll have to reach back out to this individual just to see if he wants to have a conversation individually. So that's a very specific question, but just some of the nuances to be thinking of is you can do life only. That's the highest payout. Then you can do 75% joint survivor, 50% joint survivor, or full joint survivor. That means if you pass, your spouse gets the full benefit. Obviously, your monthly benefit is the lowest because it's covering 2 lives. Now, if your spouse is significantly younger, then you take a bigger actuarial hit. Anyway, so Jack, something to think about. So, all right, I'm at 10 minutes. I've gone a little too far, but hopefully some of those questions maybe shed some light on the situation that you're in. And if you have more questions, again, please send them in to me, and we can start addressing them on this. But this is from a mailbag from my podcast. So these people from all over the place. So I don't know sometimes where they're coming from. Clients or not clients, they're coming in from everywhere. So anyway, hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll chat again next Friday. Y'all be good.